I've just come to a realization that could be so life-changing that I have to come out here and make a video about it right now. And that is the 2 questions to ask yourself to be happier and more productive. But real quick, before I get into those 2 questions, I just want to say the other day I created a Reddit page. It's called r/Michael Dennis, and it's going to be a community where you guys can post about your issues, your questions, or whatever you have related to social anxiety, or even your success stories. And not only will I be there to answer your questions, but hopefully you guys will answer each other's questions as well, throw in your 2 cents, and it's just a better way to kind of build a community. Now, if you're not familiar with Reddit, it is extremely anonymous. It requires only a username, not even an email, to sign up, so don't be afraid to jump in, and I'll put a link to that in the description below. Also, I just wanted to say thank you so much for your feedback from the other day when I asked for it in my last video. It's been extremely helpful. I've taken note of all of it, and I'm going to start slowly implementing some of those things into my videos. Like, you guys wanted a little bit different filming locations sometimes because the gray wall can get a little bit boring. Maybe just me having a little bit more energy, which is something I'm working on within myself, not just for YouTube, but just overall. And what else? I don't know, I have it all written down, but I'll be working on all of it. So now, without further ado, let's get into those 2 questions. The first of which is, what is one thing I can do right now to get me closer to any of my goals? So what this does is it lowers the barrier of entry for you to start taking action towards what you want to achieve. The best example of this is cleaning your room. I've talked about this before, but this is just a different way of understanding it. It's like, if you think about cleaning your room, there's all these different things you have to do, and it's going to take you a little while. But if you just think of it as, well, let me just pick up the trash that I have lying around, or let me just pick up the dirty clothes, do some laundry. Just think of one thing you can do. Once you do that thing, it will give you momentum that will make you start doing other things, because you'll do that one thing, realize it was actually pretty easy, you'll do another thing, and it'll just put you into this flow state. It will make you present rather than thinking about the whole thing. Because when you think about the whole fucking thing, it'll create feelings of anxiety or maybe apathy, because you'll just be kind of like, man, it's so much work. I don't feel like doing all that work right now. Let me just watch Netflix or something. So the key here is to be very clear about what your goals are. What are the things that are important to you? For example, for me, I haven't finished my list yet, but I'll just give you a few examples. One is my health, going to the gym, watching what I eat, making sure I get enough sleep, all that good stuff. As well as my relationships, my work, just anything related to YouTube. So go ahead and make a list of your own, and then just in any given moment, just as you're walking around, ask yourself, what's one thing I can do to get closer to any of these goals? Once you do that, you'll be able to just take a small baby step forward, which will lead to many more baby steps, most likely, and you'll end up getting a lot of stuff done. There's also something very similar called the 1% rule, which is just basically try to get like 1% better every day. Don't necessarily just try to do huge things every day, because that's kind of almost impossible. Instead, think of it as, what's one thing I can do right now, which will lead you to getting hopefully 1% better in some area every day of your life, which over the course of many years will lead to massive results. So by just thinking about what is one thing I can do, what that does is it puts you, it's almost a portal into the present moment. Because if you think about the whole thing, as I said earlier, that's going to make you anxious, that's going to maybe make you feel apathetic, like you don't want to do it. And that's because you're not present anymore. You're thinking in the future. You're thinking about how much work it's going to be. But instead, by just taking a small action, you're staying present, because you're just doing the one thing you can do right now, which will ultimately lead you to do all the other things necessary. And you'll end up getting it done both faster, better. That's it. So that wraps it up for the first question, which is basically all about productivity and getting things done, avoiding procrastination. The second one, however, is about happiness, and it actually pairs perfectly with the first one. This question is, how can I make this fun? So now you're doing your one thing. You've taken your one little step in the right direction towards one of your goals. Well, now, how can you make it fun? Because if you're only working, just work all the time, that can be really, it'll feel like you're struggling. It can be pretty taxing and exhausting. But if you can find a way to be having fun and be present to the moment while you're doing what you're doing, then it's going to make it a lot more enjoyable. And ultimately, this combination of the 2 things will lead you to not only get a ton of stuff done, but to also be extremely happy while you're doing it. It's almost very Gary V, like if you follow Gary Vaynerchuk on social media, he's a super hard worker, but it's because he absolutely loves what he's doing. So he's taking little steps every day to get closer and closer to his goals, but he's also enjoying them while he's doing it. For this one, we can go back to the cleaning your room example. If you start cleaning your room a little bit, you think, well, let's see, how can I make this fun? Well, you can turn on some music, start listening to songs that you like, maybe even start dancing a little bit. Maybe if there's a piece of trash on the ground, like a piece of paper, ball it up, toss it in the trash like it's a basketball, rather than just mundanely walking over and putting it there all serious. And then you'll be having fun. So then, like I said, you'll be getting stuff done and you'll be having a lot of fun. So it's a pretty bulletproof strategy in my opinion, but I just kind of came up with it. I literally just realized that these two questions could be the key to massive happiness and success. If you think otherwise, please let me know in the comments, because I still, after this hour of thinking about it, haven't come up with any reason why it's not a good idea. I believe in this so much that if I implement this and I find success after a month or 2 or 3 months of doing this, I'm going to get these tattooed on my body. I'm going to get this one tattooed here on my left wrist to remind me what is one thing I can do right now to get me closer to my goals. And I'm going to put this one on my other wrist. Just a simple question. How can I make this fun? And the funny thing about this one is that I actually had to write it with my left hand since I was writing on my right hand, and I'm right-handed. So it was pretty funny. I was actually putting my own advice into action as I was doing it, because I was like, wow, this is kind of fun. I haven't written with my left hand for a while, and it ended up turning out kind of funny looking. And so it was like I was having fun while I was doing it. So maybe you think I'm crazy, maybe you think I'm a genius, but either way, I'm personally going to implement this into my own life over the next month, or hopefully forever. We'll see. And then hopefully I'll see great results. And if you want, you can go ahead and join me in this and go ahead and implement these things into your life as well and see if you see any results. But since I haven't proven it yet, I'm not going to go ahead and tell you to do it, because maybe it doesn't work for some reason, but we'll see. So anyway, that just about wraps it up. By the way, just because I asked for feedback in the last video doesn't mean that's the only time I want feedback. If you have more feedback for me, always let me know, either in the comments or go back to yesterday's video about the asking for feedback and go put in that Google form. Actually, I'll just go ahead and put the Google form in there again. Maybe I'll include it in all my descriptions so people can always be giving me feedback. We'll see. But yes, in case you were wondering, this is the end of the video. So I will wrap it up here. Please like, share, comment, do what you gotta do, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.